Hi everybody, Matt here from Matt Likes Comics. I wanted today to be a beautiful day. However, the weather's not cooperating, shall we say. In my hands is a bunch of comic books. Surprise, surprise, on Matt Likes Comics. Today we're doing the second half of the Supergirl series from 1982 to 1984, which started as the Daring New Adventures of Supergirl and then became Supergirl with issue 13. Part 1 was done, and I'm going to link part 1 down in the description. If you haven't seen it, I think you should, because it's Supergirl, and who doesn't like a girl that can fly, right? Well, maybe her enemies, I don't know. So basically, we're going to pick up where we left off. Basically, this series, from this point on, is written by Paul Kloppenberg, and the art is done by Carmen Infantino and inks by Boskner. There is one change throughout this thing that I will point out, but for the most part, that is the creative team that worked on this book. It was almost, you could say, Infantino's last hurrah, because he did not do much at DC post-crisis. He did the odd book here and there, but this was his last. This and the Flash were, which also wrapped up around the same time, were his two big titles. So let's begin with Echoes of Times Gone By. Superman returns to the fortress to find the mess from the fight Supergirl had with her little clones. She explains what happened to him, and Cal says, "Go ahead and go. I'll clean it up." In Chicago, meanwhile, Supergirl's landlady, Mrs. Berkowitz, is scared after a swastika is painted on her doorway. Neo-Nazis are also going to hold a rally in a nearby park. Supergirl goes to LA to visit her adoptive parents, who have moved there recently from Midvale. She makes a new costume because her costume was wrecked from the fight. Kara plans to stay for a couple of days, but from a TV broadcast that she's watching, she realizes that there's some serious crap going on in Chicago. So, dressed as Linda, she attends the rally. Then, seeing what's going on with the fights in the crowd, she turns to Supergirl to break up the fight. It's a staged fight, by the way. The leader identifies herself as Black Star and reveals that she that she controls and is made of cosmic energies. Supergirl gets knocked down by an energy blast. Next up, we have issue 14, which is Starlight Starbrite. Black Star rises tonight. This is the first cover appearance of Black Star. By the way, Black Star only made 4 appearances in pre-crisis, but has made the odd appearance after. I don't have any of her after ones that I can remember, but it's possible. She's made 3 Supergirl issues and a DC Comics Presents issue. Supergirl battles Black Star, who can command cosmic energies. Supergirl begins to win, and Black Star teleports away. Supergirl returns to being Linda. Meanwhile, Mrs. Berkowitz realizes Black Star could be her long thought dead daughter Rachel. Meanwhile, Black Star ensures her plans are put into action by her goons. They firebomb a synagogue. Linda hears the explosion and rushes as Supergirl to the scene. Black Star shows up and they fight. Black Star brags about how she has her powers from being the one to solve the unified field theory. Mrs. Berkowitz arrives and yells, "Rachel," and Black Star returns and says, "Mama?" End of story. I sense a Changing things. This one is called Starfall. This is issue 15. Black Star is distracted by her mother, but Supergirl continues the fight. Mrs. Berkowitz hates the violence and lets them know. Black Star reveals that she is a shapeshifter so that she can look as young as she wants, and that's why she doesn't look like she's in her 40s at this point. If you know that that's a Holocaust thing, early 80s would make her in her 40s. She then teleports away, promising to return. Dressed as Linda, she checks in. Supergirl checks in on Miss Berkowitz, and she gets the full story of what happened. Linda is then at her professor's office when it is discovered that Mrs. Berkowitz is missing. Black Star has taken her and reveals all to her mother. She tells her everything about how she became Black Star. Supergirl then has tracked her down, revealing that Black Star's powers leave a energy trail that can be traced by her. Black Star teleports herself and Supergirl to the center of the universe, where she accidentally creates two black holes, which ends up ripping her apart. Supergirl flies back to Earth and tells Mrs. Berkowitz's daughter is truly dead this time. Thus, one of the saddest stories that I've ever read when I was young ends. I mean, in my 10-year-old, well, I guess in 1983, my 11-year-old brain, that was a tough story to swallow. Next up is a fun one. This is Supergirl 16 called Bugout. Same creative team, but the cover is done by Keith Giffen. Can you figure out why? Ambush Bug breaks jail and decides to become a superhero in Chicago. He starts bothering people for crimes like littering and loitering. Supergirl shows up, and Ambush Bug thinks that Superman has changed into a woman somehow. Ambush Bug then spends the book following Supergirl, trying to stop this sinister sex change plot, as he calls it, change her back to Superman. Eventually she catches him, and he realizes that it's not Superman, but an actual person. There's an actual crime in this story, but I want it to take the back seat to my favorite Ambush Bug. And at the end of the book, Ambush Bug reveals to Linda he's figured out who she is, but he'll keep it secret. This issue is the first time that DC puts on a comic book that it's going to make a Supergirl movie. This one is called Publish and Parish. And it says right at the top, soon to be a major motion picture. I wouldn't call Supergirl major, but for me it was a lot of fun. But I can see why a lot of people didn't like the movie. Perhaps some other time I'll discuss it, because I don't think this is the proper forum at the moment. So Jackson Burroughs, who is an international businessman, really a criminal, kidnaps Dr. Barry Metzner, who is Linda's boss, for writing a psychological biography of him. As of yet, it is unpunished. Published, unpunished. Well, unpunished too. Burroughs then explains that Metzner has managed to discover that he's been working two gangs against each other. And he wants him to change the book to hide this fact, if not get rid of the book completely. Metzner is forced to reveal that Linda is currently typing up the manuscript. So she ends up being attacked Turns into Supergirl, follows the thugs, fights Matrix Prime, and secures Metzner from and rescues Metzner and captures Burroughs. A very interesting little book with a little throwback to some of the earlier issues with this Matrix Prime and this council that's underneath Lake Michigan. They were trying real hard with this book to give Supergirl a sense of continuity and her own villains and issues, which leads us to Supergirl 18. This is Call Me Kraken. An alien named Kraken from another dimension had entered Earth 1's dimension years and years ago in the vicinity of Argo City. He tries to conquer it, and he was repulsed, almost dying in the process. When he returns years later, he found that Argo City has been abandoned and has vowed revenge on any survivors. So Kraken appears on Earth, claiming magical powers, and causes water spouts to wreak havoc in downtown Chicago. Supergirl fights the Kraken, discovers that his magic is really super advanced science, and then is able to melt the gadgets with her heat vision, thus defeating Kraken very quickly afterwards. Issue 19 is Who Stole Supergirl's Life? The different costumes should be a clue. The 6 tiny clones emerge, becoming one massive Supergirl clone. The single clone then uses her mental powers, which is the only thing she has left after the gold kryptonite, to block memories of Supergirl's Linda's Danvers life, and uses a rocket from the Fortress of Solitude to arrive in Chicago and take over Linda's life. Now, what did I write here? The after effect, got it. The after effect for the clone, that the clone forgets she's a clone. She's upset at having no powers, and that the Supergirl on TV is stealing her identity. Eventually, as she moves on, Supergirl's memory returns. And when confronted, Supergirl helps the clone establish a new life so that she can live in peace. Which brings us to issue 20. We're almost done. Issue 20. Because we got to throw Superman in some point. Supergirl finds that her powers are weakening, and it turns out that she's fighting a clone of the Parasite, who manages to imprison her. She escapes, confronts the clone, and watches it deteriorate into the chemicals that made it. Later, Superman escorts her to a ceremony where she is placed, where a statue is placed on the spot that she landed many, many years ago. In this book, it's allegedly 10 years, but we all know that it's a lot more than 10 years. The JLA and the Teen Titans are guests in the issue, as it says right here at the top. It's the new Teen Titans. But another interesting, fun little thing. Now, this one is actually written by Paul Kupperberg, but the art was done by Eduardo Barreto. Yeah. Bob Oskner did the inks on the cover, but Barreto did his own inking inside. This was called Curse of the Kryptonite Man. Curse of the Kryptonite Man. When Supergirl is attacked by an alien spacecraft, which suddenly disappears, Manages to follow it to Metropolis, where Superman is fighting a being called the Kryptonite Man. The spacecraft is piloted by an alien leader who lost a hand fighting the Kryptonite Man. The Kryptonite Man thinks that Superman destroyed Krypton for whatever reason, but when attacked, they're known as the Cedars, the special craft, the new craft, break off the fight with Supergirl to fight with Superman and Supergirl and the Kryptonite Man. Supergirl and Superman spend the time trying to fight everybody until the others end up destroying each other. So the Kryptonite Man manages to destroy the Cedars and vice versa. Very Deus Ex Machina. Number 22, we are back to Carmen Infantino and et al. I have seen the future, and it's me. This is issue 22. After a blackout in Chicago, Dr. Metzner awakes and discovers a tape recorder under his bed, which he has no memory. His memories suddenly surface, and he's physically turned into a hyper-evolved future man with psychokinetic powers. Future Metzner lashes out, and when confronted by Supergirl, he envelopes her in flames from a burning car. And that's the cover right there. Do you remember the days when the covers actually reflected what was going on in the book? With today's variant covers, we don't get that very much. And yes, commentary. So, this brings us to the final issue of Supergirl number 23. I find the title ironic because it says the comic is "The Future Begins Today." Supergirl attempts to battle future Metzner, only to find that he can also become intangible. He teleports away and remembers his old self again. He remembers his origin. Now dominated by his future self, he projects a huge image of him over Chicago and declares himself ruler. Supergirl appears and they fight. Thinking he's destroyed Supergirl, the remorse causes him to become normal again. She convinces him that he has to answer to the law. And at the last panel, Dick Malvern suddenly shows up at Linda's. And for those that don't know, Dick Malvern was her high school boyfriend. Now, with the cancellation with this issue, a lot of things did not get resolved. And due to this happening, the book got canceled. Which is also sad because the theatrical run of Supergirl literally started a month and a half before they killed her in Crisis. Oh, maybe not. It was actually probably a little sooner than that. But if you get my drift, Supergirl was 84, this is 85. So my mistake. But this issue of Supergirl, September 84, yes, this was out when the movie was out. So the last issue of the book coincided with a movie. Pretty bad public relations as far as I'm seeing. But they ended the series because they didn't want to go any further in exploration for a character they knew was going to pass away very soon after. So that wraps up the end of Supergirl. Now, I feel the need at this point to point out that from May 1959, which was the cover date of her Action Comics debut, until September 84, there was only 1 month that there wasn't a published Supergirl comic. in the sense, sorry, there was bi-monthlies, but there was only 1 month where there wasn't a title that had Supergirl in it, and that was between the cancellation of her first series and the launch of Superman Family. This series, Daring New Adventures, was literally launched 6 weeks after Superman Family wrapped up. So, and the way the covers dates went, they didn't pretty much skip. So, I hope you enjoyed this look at Supergirl. This was probably my favorite series as a youngster. It is the first series that I ever, when I was a kid, that I ever had the full series of. And it was one of the first series that I put together when I got back into comics. As I grabbed them. Actually, I got 5 of these books on a trip to Syracuse back in 2011-ish time frame. So that was good, because at that point it left me only one to get, and I got that pretty soon after. So this is actually one of the longest runs I've had in this collection as well. So if you liked what you saw, please like, comment, and subscribe below. I'd like you to tell me what you thought about this series, and if maybe you're interested in it. This series has been collected in trade paperback. The first half, 1 to 12, which I covered in the other video, that trade has been reprinted a couple times, but the second half has not been reprinted, and it's a little hard to find. Thank you for joining me today. I really enjoyed making this video, and I hope you guys enjoyed watching it. My name is Matt. I like comics, and I hope you do too. Thanks, everybody.